In this video, I will show you a collection of wooden clocks that I've made over the past 2-3 weeks. I'm not going to show you all stages of making of clocks, many of them are repeated. I'd rather talk about each model, about the material they are made of and what details and features do they have. Here you can see a clock made of pine plate bought in a store. These plates are usually used to make shelves, racks and other furniture. The clock's diameter is 50 centimeters. The clockwork mechanism, as for other models, was purchased on AliExpress for $2. Quite cheap, isn't it? In a couple of seconds I will tell you about clock hands in the form of tree branches and how to make numbers for the clock face. AliExpress sells different clock hands of different lengths. There could be plastic or metal, but I decided to make my own clock hands from thin wooden plates. To do this, I cut a strip of 1-2 mm thick from a bar of beech on a band saw. I draw the outline according to the template and cut it out. As a result, I can make clock hands of any length and any shape. Here there is a clock hand of non-standard form. It looks like a tree branch. Then the arrow can be painted in any color. I painted it black for a light clock and white for a dark one. The next clock is made from exactly the same plate, and its size is also 1/2 meter. But I burned the panel with a gas burner, then sanded and covered it with oil. Here you can see the process. It should be noted that the plate was slightly bent after burning due to thermal stress. This is not very nice, now the clock will not fit tightly to the wall. I didn't find out yet how this can be avoided. Now take a look at the clock with an oval beech clock face. The clock panel is glued together from 4 parquet plates. The seams are almost invisible. The numbers on this dial are made by burning out with a laser the plates of olive. Then these plates are glued to the clock face. See how it's done. You could burn the numbers right off the clock face, but not all wood is good at burning. For example, a pine tree is poor for that. Soft and hard materials have different depths of burning and give a different shade of the image. Besides, I'll have a dark burned clock in my collection. But slice of olive is perfectly burned and looks very good, both on a dark and light wood. The next clock differs from the previous one in that the end face of the clock is covered with light leather. The fact is that the parquet plate is quite thin and the end itself is not particularly beautiful, given the fact that there are longitudinal cuts on the back of the plate and they are visible. In addition, I like the combination of oak and leather very much. And again the clock from the parquet plate, but now the end is processed differently. It is made uneven with a zander, and due to this all the flaws and the end are invisible, and the clock received an original shape. By the way, the size of all these clocks, as I jokingly call them parquet clocks, is 25 cm horizontally and 37 cm vertically. Here there is another oval clock of the same size but made of pine plate. The spots for the numbers are marked with holes, which I closed with wenge-colored filler. And again an oval clock made of parquet plate, but now the numbers are indicated by holes in which epoxy resin tinted in black is poured. Square clock made of oak plank. The clock face is burned with the laser plotter. The clock is made of burnt parquet plate. The end face is covered with black leather. I find this quite stylish. And this cut of an unknown tree was sold in the store as a hot pot stand, but it continued his life as a clock face. I think this is a good career for cheap cross-section of a tree. This clock is made of Brazilian pine plate. This tree is distinguished by noticeable bending and the absence of knots. The clock face diameter is 30 centimeters. exactly the same clock, but with an inversion of the color of the face and hands. The wooden plate is burned with a gas torch. This clock is made of beech plate with an insertion of sapele wood. This time the hands are not handmade, and moreover they are phosphorescent and light up at night. The last two models of clock are the coolest, in my opinion. Well, the workpieces were not cheap. This is a cut of the olive wood. It had to be aligned with the milling cutter, which I mounted on the rails and use as a surface gauge. The surface is varnished. The first model has black wooden sticks instead of numbers. The second has the numbers burned into the cross-section of an olive tree branches. So it is a completely olive clock.